Hello and welcome to the Internet of Things Made Simple. I'm Larry Boyhumer. Welcome to mini episode number 6. As a reminder, mini episodes are ones that kind of got caught in the middle. They're topics that I definitely wanted to cover, but I couldn't cover them properly in an open segment, which is about 3 minutes, and they didn't justify doing a whole main segment, which is about 15 minutes. But again, I wanted to cover it, and this one's very important. As always, check out our webpage, theinternetofThingsMadeSimple.com, and I kindly ask you subscribe to this podcast using your favorite podcast service. And as a reminder, our next full episode is on Thursday when we recap CES. The topic tonight is going to make some of you wonder, what the heck is he talking about when you read the title? First, I wasn't implying that IoT is going to make the next smartphone, tablet, search engine, YouTube. What I was talking about is how IoT is going to enable solutions and create billion-dollar companies like products from Apple and Google. I do first want to apologize. I did a blog on this, and in the blog, I only referenced Apple, and I heard about it from a number of Google fans, so I do realize I missed it, so I've added Google to this podcast. To start, these aren't the only companies to ever have helped create billion-dollar companies. Samsung, Facebook, Microsoft also have had a big influence, but it seems that these two companies have been the strongest enabler of technology for the past decade. And here's what I mean. Take an iOS device like an iPhone or an iPad or any of the Android devices. There were definitely smartphones and tablets before, but these seem to have attracted way more developers to their platforms, and that's helped lead to billion-dollar companies like Uber, Yelp, Snapchat. Before iPhone, most of the smartphone business was dominated by companies like BlackBerry, whose devices were great, but they didn't have the same kind of consumer-based ecosystem as an Apple did or Android did. It also wasn't really known for its user experience for consumers. Just try to browse the web on one of the old BlackBerry devices. In order for a technology company to be a great enabler, there needs to be two important ingredients. One, people need to be able to easily use their product and pick it up and have no issues. And two, companies need to want to invest in the platform to build solutions that people see a value in. Apple has always been the master of taking existing technology and adding a layer of usability to it in a way that few companies can. Google is pretty much in the same boat, as I believe they've really mastered integrating Android, YouTube, and many other their product offerings like Maps. However, I think the shine may be off these two great companies for a few reasons. One, after a while, even the greatest companies run out of ideas. Just look at Apple. They haven't had a great product for a while. Two, the sheer size makes it more difficult to move the needle. If you're a $100 million company, a $10 million idea is a big thing. When you're pushing in on $700 to $1 billion like these two companies, it's a little harder to move the needle. Finally, one only has to look at the fact that Warren Buffett, a man that I admire greatly by the way, but he is a value investor. The fact that he's taken a great stake in Apple means that perhaps the great growth days are a bit behind him. So if these two companies aren't as likely to be technology enablers as before, who takes the mantle? Personally, I don't think it's a who, but a what. I think IoT, in general, is going to become the next Apple or Google in the world of technology. And here are the few reasons why. First is the breadth of growth. Apple and Google products had a strong appeal to both the consumer and the corporate market. There are millions of smartphones in the business world, also things like Mac laptops, and many companies use Google AdWords and more. IoT offers huge growth also in both the consumer and business markets. Consumers will move more towards things like smart health, smart home, and other areas, and I'm sure eventually we'll become hooked on IoT-enabled technologies like autonomous driving, AR and VR, and even having a robot in the home. Businesses are going to use solutions to improve productivity, margins, service level, and much more. The next main area is the chance to change people's lives. I've heard some interesting advice over the years for investing, but one that kind of stuck with me was invest in companies that have the chance to change people's lives. So does that mean Uber fits? Well, not quite. I've heard people say, oh, I can't imagine my life before Uber. And although it is a good investment, I don't think it truly changed people's lives. You could get a cab before. Autonomous driving, robotics, automation, smart health, these will change people's lives. And you know what they have in common? They're all powered by IoT. The third area is starting to solve more than first world problems. What's a first world problem? And what's an example of when IoT solved one? A first world problem is an $18,000 bathtub. Enough said. IoT is not only becoming more user-friendly, it's now starting to solve real issues. Products like Ring and Nest are making people safer and reducing their heating and cooling costs. Ironically, much of the ease of use for some of these platforms does come by products created by Google and Amazon, so other big companies. So as I mentioned before, they might be replaced, but they're not dead. The last one is 4G and Wi-Fi are good for IoT, but better is coming. Cat-M and 5G, if you aren't familiar with those, I have an episode on the different cellular technologies. You can take a look at it. Cat-M and 5G are going to offer two completely different but equally important breakthroughs for IoT. That's going to further drive the appeal for technology. Cat-M is going to reduce the cost and complexity, which is going to make it a much easier business case and ROI for adding cellular connectivity to more devices. 5G, on the other hand, is going to reduce latencies and give ridiculous speeds that's going to help enable things like autonomous driving and more mobile health. So to recap, I don't want to get yelled at here. Google and Apple are not dead. They're not going away. They're going to continue to have platforms for people to build technology off of for a long time. I just think IoT offers more exciting possibilities for investors and technology startups over the next decade. But as always, I'd love to hear from you, good, bad, and ugly, so drop me a note. The best way to do that is on Facebook. The Internet of Things Made Simple, drop me a note through there. If we're connected on LinkedIn, that's a good place to start. Or if we're connected personally, drop me a note. And as always, full episodes are every Thursday. Thanks again for listening. I'm Larry Boy Humor.